Hello, and thank you for stopping by the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube. I am Thomas Metal 75, joined by Rhode Island's one and only Michael Sheldon Jr. And this is your Massachusetts Beer Review. And today, Michael Sheldon prompted me to choose this topic, and I thank you for that. We're going to do a light beer examination. I have today the original Fine Pilsner beer. I believe it's 95 calories, and it came out in 1975, I believe. It is the Miller's Light beer. No, 1973 is when it came out. And Michael Sheldon Jr. today has Natural Light, also known as Natty Light, which I don't have that information off the top of my head. Well, yes, I do. The beer was introduced in 1977, and it was their first reduced calorie light beer. So there you go. Light beer, I believe, just the general premise of light beer is its inception, according to Wikipedia, its inception came out in 1967 with a beer called Gablinger's Diet Beer. So these beers were considered not even light beers when they first started to be brewed with a lower amount of calories, but they were considered diet beers. And I believe, as far as the Miller Lite is concerned, Miller acquired this beer from Rheingold. They had like a Rheingold light beer, and they acquired it from them. And so they're not really the first people to do the light beer, as it's called, light, but they were the first company to nationally commercialize and come out with a light beer, and they call themselves Miller Lite, L-I-T-E, because, it's spelled differently because it's brewed differently or something like that. But anyways, if Michael Sheldon wants to get into his beer, that would be excellent. His beer is the Natural Light, which is 4.2% alcohol by volume, 95 calories, with 3.2 grams of carbs per 12-ounce fluid servings. If you want to give us some aromas, tasting notes, appearance of your beer, go right ahead and do that.
It has a sweet note.
Anything else you pick up?
It's got some funky smell to it.
A funky smell. Does it have like a cheap kind of a smell to it? Like you can tell it's brewed with less than ideal ingredients for a good beer?
Yes, I believe so.
What would you say about its taste? Give us a taste test live on camera. Cheers.
I got some hops, some grain, a grassy taste.
Would that be the taste you'd consider, when somebody says beer? Is that it's got its stereotypical beer flavor?
Yeah, it tastes like a beer.
And I assume it's pretty crisp, clean, refreshing, watery mouthfeel, all those things sort of going on in there?
It's very watery.
So what's your experience with the natural, or as some people call it, Natty Light? Do you buy it often? Would you buy it again? How would you rate it on a letter grading scale? What do you think of the beer?
I buy it often. I share with my brother.
And what would you grade the beer if you were back in school grading this beer?
I would grade it a D.
D. Have you had better light beers in your time?
Yes, the one you have in your hand right now.
Miller's Light. And now, what kind of a light beer? Do you drink light beer? Do you choose to drink light beer? And what light beer? Obviously, you'd rather drink Miller Lite than this. So, what's your thoughts on light beer? And do you like drinking light beer?
Well, it's less filling.
Mm-hmm.
So you can drink a lot and not get sick.
Yes. Is there a kind of a beer that you usually gravitate towards besides of the light beers?
Narragansett.
Narragansett, classic American style beer from the New England area. Exactly. So it's a D. We're not giving much praise to the Natty Light. All right, but I already poured this beer, as you can tell, and I already took a sip with our buddy Michael. So yeah, Miller Lite came out in 1973. Again, it was acquired. The Miller Brewing Company acquired this from Rheingold, so it's not even their own recipe, and they like to say, the Miller people, that it's triple hopped. I have no clue what that means. They just say on the can, inside is a fine Pilsner beer brewed with the highest quality ingredients. We use choicest hops from the Pacific Northwest, as well as Noble Sass hops, and deliver more taste, aroma, and color with only 96, not 95 calories per 12-ounce can. And they've won several medals and awards throughout their career with the Miller Lite in the Great American Beer Festival and the World Beer Cup. They consider this a fine Pilsner beer at 4.2% alcohol by volume. It did have a head that came all the way up to the top of the glass. Now, this is a Miller Lite Boston Celtics glass. It has this etching on the bottom, which creates that sort of champagne-y like carbonation you get from it. It's stereotypical beer, American beer lager looks to it. The smell is definitely a little more robust to me than a lot of American lagers. It's got that, it says Noble Sass. Now, a Noble kind of a German hop is going to have a little bit of just a little bit of a spicy component, which is what a good German Pilsner should have, and it has a little hint of that. I think they use corn grits at Miller, so it definitely has the corn and the corn grit smell. It's grainy. It's got a wet cardboardy kind of a smell to it. It just has a little bit more of a malty, hoppy scent going on than in most American-style light lagers, but the flavor, cheers, of Miller Lite is definitely those things from the aroma. It's got a little bit more of a bready, malty component to it. It's got some of that noble hop, as Michael Sheldon was saying. Some of it's kind of a grassy taste as well. There was a twinge of like a souring kind of a note before it dries. It's very dry finishing beer. I wouldn't expect much from the style other than it's a really dry finish. So it's got a little bit more hops and a little bit more malt to it. It's pretty grainy and watery. It's crisp, clean, refreshing. I'm not going to go as low as Michael Sheldon Jr. I think when I reviewed this on Beer Advocate a number of years ago, I gave it a 3.35 average overall out of 5. So that's probably a good C to C plus range. I think it's pretty good as far as light lagers are concerned. It's definitely one of the better ones. And maybe I'll put it in the description of this live video when we're done recording it, but I did do a taste challenge between Miller, Bud, and Coors Light. I did it blindly. I could tell distinctively what Miller Lite was. And between Bud and Coors Light, I had no clue, but this just has more flavor, and I hear a lot of people talking about that. This has more flavor than a lot of the other light beers on the market. But as I asked Michael Sheldon Jr., my experience with light beers did start with this, and I don't have a problem with light beers and light lagers. I don't usually choose to drink them because as much as I like craft beers, I do like the macro, the American standby kind of beers, and there's nothing wrong with them. I just kind of like a bigger, more robust flavor. So Narragansett's a good one. Budweiser's a pretty good one. I like High Life and Pabst Blue Ribbon. Even Rolling Rock is at 4.5%, could be almost considered a light lager. But I think light lagers, calories, and I alcohol percentage combined on that. So, I mean, I'm going to give this a C. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, is there a situation where you could see yourself, gravitating towards the Natural Light? What would be the ideal situation that you would find yourself in wanting to purchase Natural Light over other beers?
Well, if I want to drink with my brother's pretty finicky. He likes Bud Light and Natural Light.
Really? All right.
I try to get him to drink Gansett, but he's like, no.
So he's pretty brand loyal to the Bud line of beers, in other words.
Right.
Yeah, and do you think that that's true when it comes to a lot of light beers and a lot of average type of a beer drinker, that it's not so much? I mean, I think a lot of them do taste the same, but you almost think that it comes down to if you're brand loyal to one brand, you're just gonna end up buying it without any, real. You're not even gonna really question it. You just gravitate towards that particular brand.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts, opinions, changing a changing mentality in the Natural Light? You're still gonna give that a D overall?
Yeah, I'll give it a D plus.
And you'd rather drink Miller Lite?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty. I'm curious because I have bought that beer in the past. I'm wondering if we go to our local Yankee Spirits website, yankeespirits.com. Our local store is in South Attleboro, Massachusetts. If I look up the Natural Light at their store's website, Natural Light is $12.99 for an 18-pack, and for a 30-rack, it's $17.99. So it's a pretty, I'd say it's pretty economical beer if you're short on cash. Miller Lite, oh, that was $17.99. Miller Lite is $23.99 for a 30-rack. So if you want an economical beer, I would definitely go for the Natural Light. So yeah, if I don't have, I guess the only closing argument or the only closing statement I could have with the light lager style of beer is it's not one that I usually gravitate towards. I can tolerate the beers, and I do respect where they're, I can respect their place in the American beer market and why they're so highly successful at beers. They do go with a lot of different foods. They do pair well with almost any kind of an activity that you could pair it with. You could, totally make sessions out of Miller Lite and Natural Light. But I do like the American style lagers, Narragansett, Budweiser, High Life. Those are what I would gravitate towards. And they're not really that much of a price difference, honestly. But again, it's not a style that I gravitate towards, but it's one that I do respect in the beer, in the beer market, in the beer world. Any closing thoughts there, Michael Shilton Jr.?
Not at all.
Not at all. So don't drink Natural Light, drink Miller Lite. There you go, right?
That's it.
All right. So I appreciate you jumping on this at the last minute. I know that you're a part of the Massachusetts Beer Review group of Facebook. I appreciate that. This video will be on that group in a short minute. And until next time, cheers. Keep tasting those great beers. We'll see you soon.